Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dialogue Dome Podcast Edition. Fucking hell, we're on episode, shit, what episode are we even on?
A lot.
Apparently a lot. Fucking, I don't know,
Yeah.
30 at this point? 58?
At least. Yeah, I still can't believe we got this far.
I know, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But incredible.
Yes.
No, but hey, what's up? Welcome in. Welcome. Fucking, what are we talking about today? Brennan. Oh, that's Brendan. I'm Max.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to be talking
Consoles.
Oh, that makes sense. I
Yeah,
saw the pride and I was like, what are we talking about today?
We're going to be talking about gay people. No.
Not June. What is it? No. All right.
We're going to be
cool.
talking about
Fucking...
Xbox and PlayStation and all these consoles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Sick. Well, all right. Consoles, Xbox. Well, I mean, obviously, you specifically are talking about Xbox. I'm probably going to
not necessarily. I mean, I just wore an Xbox shirt because that's all I have that's related to this.
I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. I wore Destiny because I don't know.
No, Destiny is a Sony
video
company.
Games.
So there you go.
Video games, I guess.
Bungie's a Sony company, so I guess that works.
Oh, is it? Well, there you go.
Yeah, I just thought, well, let's talk about like our console experience, like, cause you know,
for sure.
I don't know if y'all know this, but I would still consider myself, at least, to be still relatively newer to the PC community. I wouldn't say like very, very new anymore, but like it still feels very surreal to me that I even own what I have.
Yeah,
because I really heavily spec'd this computer out that I'm using. Like really heavily spec'd out 4090 i9, like all that stuff, and it just still seems so surreal to me that I even have a gaming PC to begin with, considering where I came from with gaming.
True. Fair. I know I was definitely one of those diehards that was trying their level best not to get into PC because consoles just felt so much easier, right? You go out, you buy a system that's already pre-made to spec to play these games that the company specifically built this console to play, and then you go about your day. You go about your gaming, what have you, what not. But I don't know. Ultimately, in recent years, and we can easily get into that maybe later, but in recent years, it definitely felt like PC is really the way to go. And I'm not trying to be some sort of PC diehard or PC master race, whatever. I'm just saying, like, fucking ultimately
PC master race, everybody.
Right?
Oh my god.
Just saying that, like, that might be it. That might be the way to go. But yeah, no, let's fucking talk about some of our early console experiences.
I want to put an asterisk on what you just said because I want to get into why it's also a problem. But anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's start off.
Yeah. What was your first console ever? Do you remember your first console ever?
Ooh, I mean, yes. Asterisk. It really depends on where we want to start.
We like saying that lately. Asterisk.
Right? We do. Because, like, yes, I remember, but where do you draw the line at what is a console versus what is whatever? My first gaming, right? My first gaming anything was a PC.
Oh, really?
I played a bunch of games on it. I had it for all sorts of like Doom clones and interesting little puzzle games, a lot of educational stuff, and that was super fun. But like it didn't last forever, and it was like a home computer. My parents mostly used it, so I could only play on it whenever they weren't busy, so that wasn't like often. The first like real sit down gaming anything that I got after that was a handheld. I had the Game Boy Advance from way the fuck back when. Oh yeah. And it was incredible. I loved that thing. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was my fucking game on the Game Boy Advance, which is
You still
very
to this
interesting to
day
even
talk
say.
about it.
Because it's so fucking
Didn't they
good.
just remake that game?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
like they remade the console versions of that game. They didn't remake the Game Boy
That's what
Advance
I
version.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
mean.
And it's amazing. We'll have to get into it some other time. But like, yeah, that was my first like handheld, and then almost immediately after that, my first console was the Nintendo 64.
Mm,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a classic.
It's a super classic. I got to
That
play games and get frustrated at games like Zelda Ocarina of Time. I played James Bond 007, like most of the Cruisin' series, Cruisin' the World, Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' whatever the fuck. Um
the N64 is a console that I always wanted but never had.
yeah.
Really
It was
is.
good.
Yeah.
It was revolutionary, and there were so many game companies that were just so fucking good. The thing that surprised me though was that I missed out on a ton of the classic N64 games. I missed out on Mario, I missed out on Majora's Mask, I missed out
Mhm.
on um like a ton of those Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie. I missed out on like fucking all of that. Um Mostly because we just didn't have the money to get many of those games, and a lot of the
Mhm.
games that we did have were hand-me-downs. I did get Superman 64, and that was shit. It was bad, and they should feel bad for having it. Uh, but yeah, outside of that, like then it really just kind of went on from there. It was the PlayStation 2, which was amazing. Had a ton of fun playing with that. Then after that, it was the Xbox 360, which also had a ton of games from there. I still love BioShock and Fallout New Vegas. Fantastic games. And then I got the PlayStation 4 after that, and then fucking my PC, my current gaming PC, is what I've been rocking for the past like several years at this point.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's kind of been my timeline on as far as like consoles go,
Mhm.
and
Right.
what's been going on with me. What
Nice.
about you? Talk about your time.
Yeah, so my console timeline is a little bit um unique, I would say. We talked about this in a previous episode, at least I did. I touched on it in a previous podcast episode. But it was um the GameCube.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yes, I remember you talking about that one.
Yeah. So the GameCube was it's so interesting. If you want to count this, I guess you could say PC was my first ever gaming experience because of Tonka construction.
Nice. I
We also
remember that
talked about
too.
this.
I
Yeah.
also had that
Yeah,
as
we had to
well.
buy a whole new
Core
gateway
memory
computer
unlocked.
because Tonka construction wouldn't install on my mom's old work computer, so she bought a whole new gateway system just so that I could play Tonka construction.
Damn.
But yeah, I played like on the first games I really remember on that PC, the gateway, the cow computer was
Mhm.
like, that like Tonga construction, like Magic School Bus, like Scholastic games. I also remember like Freddy the Fish and like not Casper, sorry, Putt Putt. I don't know why I said
Oh
Casper.
yeah.
Um
Humongous games.
Casper
Those guys were also fantastic.
was a movie I used to watch. And
Mm.
then like, humongous games, yeah, like Pajama Sam was another one. And then like,
Oh.
I remember growing up with those games. And then that's where the track record falls off for a while. I don't really have a lot of gaming experience because my my parents, well, particularly my mother, was a person who believed that video games were bad for kids. So she kind of shielded me from whatever she thought the gaming world was and what bad things it apparently was to her brain.
Got it.
So
one of those parents.
It wasn't until I got to 3rd grade that I said I wanted to get some kind of gaming console. I'm like, Mom, all my friends are playing games. I'm not playing any games. Can I get a console? And she was like, you know what? Fine. If you get all A's, I will give you a GameCube. And I was like, okay, sure. I don't even know what a GameCube is at the time. And I'm like, okay, sure. It's a console, sure. Work my ass off, get all A's. I don't think my mom expected me to actually get all A's. And so she buys me a Nintendo GameCube with Super Mario Sunshine. Nice. And that was my game for, not kidding you, 7 years. I didn't have any money to buy it. My mom still didn't want video games, so she bought me that. And then the only other game she bought me was Metroid Prime. Because it was a shooter game, but it was shooting aliens, and it was cartoon looking, so she didn't care about the fact that it was shooting. So, it was kind of one of those things where she didn't want to subject me to realistic-looking, violent games. Like Call of Duty at the time was very controversial when it came out, because it was a shooter game.
Absolutely. Exactly.
So yeah, like, that was my first console experience, and then after that, I kind of dropped off of games for a little bit until I went to college. I got my first job at Starbucks, and we talked about this. And ironically, I worked my butt off for the first paycheck, and the first thing I got was an Xbox 360. Nice. It's the first thing I did. And I bought a couple of games for Xbox 360 that I knew were classics. Which is ironic because you know what ended up happening?
What?
4 weeks later, the Xbox One came out.
Ooh.
And then I bought that with the next paycheck. So
that sounds about right.
I bought the 360, and then I traded in my 360, and I bought my my Xbox One with the. Do you remember the Xbox Kinect?
Oh, yeah, I do remember
that.
Oh,
what a disaster that was.
Awful. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Xbox Kinect. What the funny part was, I didn't know any of the controversies of the Xbox One at the time. Apparently, it was going to be a TV console, which is just hysterical to me. They focused way too much on TV instead of on Xbox itself. And so, I don't know if you remember this, but the Kinect for the Xbox One was required to be plugged in until a software update 6 months later where it didn't require the Kinect to be plugged in. And so I just remember playing on my Xbox One. I played the Xbox One version of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which to this day is still one of my favorite games. I played that thing to completion. It's the only game I've ever 100%ed. Pretty proud of that, actually. And it's ironically one of the best Assassin's Creed games, and I didn't even know that series until then, and that's when I started playing the rest of them.
Interesting.
So yeah, Xbox One, play a ton of stuff there. That's where I also figured out about Halo. Never really heard about Halo until then. Then I finally figured out what Halo was.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my intro into everything. And I should also mention that I did also buy a PlayStation 4 as well a couple months later because I had heard that there were exclusives on both, and I was like, well, that's stupid. Let me just buy both consoles then. And that was where I was introduced to Destiny for the first time, which is still to this day my most played game. It's going down.
It's very good.
It's going down a weird direction right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, Bungie, Sony.
Hey, the company's changed.
Having a moment.
Well, the company's changed. I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
And yeah, that was when. So I that was kind of like my consoles for college, and then I went to LA, and I needed an upgrade to my system, and so That's when I bought my first PC, which is, you can't see it, but it's right there.
Over there. Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
The chassis is still there. I spilled coffee in it, so it broke.
Oh no.
1080 Ti, that was the most expensive thing at the time.
Oh
But I needed an
no.
upgrade, so when I spilled it, that's when my PC shorted out, so that's when I made this. And thankfully, I was able to just take out the hard drive and put it in there, so I didn't lose anything.
Perfect.
But yeah, I've been rocking PC for almost 10 years now. And I have a PlayStation 5, and I had a Series X for a while, but I sold it because of, we're going to talk about this, but Xbox's direction has changed. So I still have a PlayStation 5. And then I also will say that I also bought a Nintendo Switch as well. I forgot to mention that. That was my first Nintendo console. I am very, very late to Nintendo. I don't really know much about Nintendo games. I like the ones I've played, but
sure.
What's really throwing me off about the Switch is the graphics. They're very bad. But, you know, they're still solid games. That's what I think was important.
Sure.
They're solid. They're not buggy. The optimization's great, and they're fun. So I'm, you know, still working with the Switch. I think we should play a Switch title on the channel sometime. I really think we should.
That might not be a bad idea.
I haven't really played many Switch games, and I think we should. But anyway.
Sure, anyway. I'm fucking down for that.
That's my console experience in a nutshell, in a very, very brief TLDR summary.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, no, like, it's been interesting watching, like, a lot of this evolve and develop over the course of like our time, essentially. It It's unfortunate because at the time, like when I was growing up, I never really appreciated the history that was being made right in front of me.
You're right, yeah.
Right? Like fucking 007 GoldenEye revolutionized first person shooters, and I was just playing it like it was some casual whatever. Like this had always been and always will be. And I don't know, I never really appreciated what the fuck was happening at the time.
No,
So
I
it's
know what
interesting,
you mean, yeah.
like reminiscing and going back and remembering, like, oh my god, these games that I had, these games that I should still have somewhere, are like gaming history, gaming icons.
Right?
And
Yeah.
and it's insane to think about. Which also kind of
I was gonna say we should preface that 007 did just get remastered recently for modern day screens, and Rare didn't really do much to the graphics. They just kind of took the port that they had and made it playable, because the controls are pretty terrible in that game. But it doesn't really matter because like no one knew what good controls were back then. They thought those were good controls. So anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, I just it's interesting kind of watching where even just like the console wars kind of started between Xbox and PlayStation, and then Nintendo was just kind of there.
Yeah. I giggle because the console war today is just laughable.
Oh, it's laughable.
And we'll go over that in a second. But
Jinx.
Yeah.
Like, no, I agree. Like, it is incredibly laughable what's been happening recently, and I don't know where you want to start as far as that goes, but like the PlayStation 4 is the last console I bought, and the only reason I bought it was because Batman Arkham Knight 1 came out with an exclusive PlayStation 4 skin console, and it was going to be fucking only on PlayStation. I couldn't play it anywhere else, and I fucking I was not going to be deprived of Batman because they decided to not put it on the Xbox 360. Those fucking bastards.
Well, no, it's because Sony does what they always do, and they bought rights to it.
Exactly. They don't play nice with anybody, and it fucking shows, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm. No, I will say this, that, like, the console war, it's just so incredibly interesting to me that, like, the console war, quote unquote, kind of started, at least in the modern day, like from what I can remember, from Xbox versus PlayStation, when Xbox dropped the bomb that they were going to create a gaming console. I think that that was a huge deal for Sony, because Sony at the time was kind of the platform for big AAA titles. You know, it used to be Nintendo for a long time, but then Sony did the PlayStation 1, and it was a huge success, so much so that it was so easy to port games to the PlayStation 1 that people just preferred to do that. So the PlayStation 1 was revolutionary for that reason. But then Microsoft, after they released the PlayStation 2 for graphical updates and better capability with, like, performance, Microsoft announced that they were going to release a console. And at first it was, like, almost laughable, because I remember seeing documentaries about this and being like, the guys who make Microsoft Office are going to make a gaming console? Like, these guys wear fucking button-up shirts and cocky pants that are fucking, the belt is higher than their chest nipples. I mean, like, it's crazy how nerdy and, like, really like not cool these guys were. And I mean, if you just even look at pictures of Bill Gates in the early 2000s, like, you'll see what I'm talking about. The dresses, like the clothes they were wearing. But then, not only did they make a console, they partnered with, at the time, Bungie. And Bungie, I need to remember what Bungie was known for before this, but Bungie at the time was known for a very specific franchise. Oh my god. Sorry, my Google Chrome is thinking I want to keep typing in Bungie.net. Hold on one second.
You're good.
So if I'm going here, oh yes, they were known for Marathon. Do you know what Marathon is?
Off the top of my head, I don't think I do.
Okay. Well, it's a first-person shooter extraction game.
Interesting.
And so basically, they were known for their first-person shooter controls, and they were known for having very, very good polished games. And so it's funny, they're about to reboot Marathon completely as a franchise. They're working on it right now, but they were known for that, so they partnered with Microsoft partnered with Bungie to create a story-driven first-person shooter game. And the result of that came as a launch title with the first ever Xbox, which is what they announced as Halo. That was the first game.
Nice.
And I think Sony was kind of laughing at Xbox, and I keep saying Xbox because it wasn't it's Xbox now, but it wasn't Xbox at the time. It was just Microsoft.
Right.
I think Sony was laughing at Microsoft for a little bit until the console dropped and Halo exploded.
Was just the greatest fucking thing to have ever existed.
Yeah.
It was incredible and continued to set the bar for what first-person shooters were supposed to be. It was insane.
Yeah, and then, on top of that, Microsoft bought Rare, who made 007.
Exactly.
So, I think they were laughing at Xbox or Microsoft until they started doing this stuff, and then they realized, oh shit, this is going to be a real competitor.
This is actually a problem.
And they responded to that by just absolutely full force trashing them. And just, you could tell that they were just extremely jealous of their success to a point. So, because at that point, PlayStation, I mean, they had some great titles and some very revolutionary games like Silent Hill. They had
Sure.
like Konami stuff.
Yeah.
They had a lot of like really good PlayStation exclusives. But they never had like a franchise like Halo that like exploded overnight. They never had that. And so when they saw it, I think they got really jealous and they just started attacking Microsoft, one ad after another, talking about how terrible they are and all this stuff. And that's kind of what started the console war, because Microsoft was like, what the fuck, man? We didn't do anything to you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that kind of started the console war. And then, you know, it just, I don't know if you remember, like PlayStation and Xbox just did not have a good relationship for a long time.
No, I mean, they never really had a good relationship from the get-go. I don't even know if it was really Microsoft or Sony. Well, I mean, it was definitely Sony, but I don't know if Microsoft really played into it. But
I think a huge part of it has to do with Sony's PlayStation CEO was very jealous, very, very aggressive.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that he was a bad CEO. I'm just saying that his response was not really responsible.
No.
I don't think.
It really did lead to the idea that Sony was going to be very isolationist. It was going to buy whatever it could to make sure that it had the better exclusives or the best exclusives or whatever, and try and muscle out Microsoft from being able to play anything with anybody. Like, cross-platform didn't even really happen until years fucking later.
Which is so stupid.
It's so stupid. It's beyond stupid how easily it could have been achieved in the first place. And I hate the fact that it was Fortnite that basically forced them to play nice together. Because that's what ultimately people want. I know, that's hilarious. I find that just so absolutely tickling that Fortnite, of all things, is the thing that finally forced these two companies to be like, you know what, we're going to lose customers if we don't play nice in some areas.
Exactly.
And I find that hilarious. And now it's almost as if that's like how it should have been the entire time, because now more and more games are like, yeah, we're going to be cross-platform. You can play on PC or
now.
Sony or exactly.
I remember when it was the last word. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And even then, I would even go in to say that, like, it's not even like the cross-platform between Xbox and PlayStation was non-existent. Like, PC was its own complete separate thing. Like, you didn't have any matchmaking on either of those consoles. You know what I mean? And so I just find it so interesting that, again, that it took Fortnite to get them to work together.
Exactly.
But that's also because Epic Games is an asshole, too.
Oh, absolutely. But it was the asshole at the time we needed.
Yes.
Because I mean, like Xbox was like, yeah, you want to cross-platform between Xbox and PC? I mean, that makes sense. We're the same fucking company. Why the hell wouldn't we do that? So they easily just did it, and then we were just waiting for PlayStation to be like, fine, we'll do it too. It's like, and I'm just sitting here like, come on, guys.
And they responded exactly like that.
Yeah, they did. You're missing out on like a huge money-making opportunity that will keep your consoles alive even just a few more years. And you're going to pass that up because what? You hate Microsoft that much? It's not worth it, man. It's at this point, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Even so much so to a point that I remember the Game Awards a couple of years ago brought Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox's CEOs all on stage at the same time to give a speech. And that was like a revolutionary moment, stating like, okay, we're kind of done fighting now.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
I just find it so funny because, like, and again, I just feel like this whole time, I just feel like Nintendo has just been grabbing popcorn and watching this whole thing unfold.
Oh, absolutely. No. Like, Nintendo from the get-go is like, hey, you guys want to have your fight? Go for it. We're going to go over here and we're going to make Zelda. We're going to make Mario. We're going to make our own stuff and we're not going to share. Like, that's not... we're not sharing at all. But you guys have your fun,
Yeah,
and
and
we're just
even
going to
then,
make games.
yeah.
But I mean, even then, yeah, like Nintendo, I feel was never really opposed to the idea of cross-play, because when Fortnite again wanted to be cross-play with Nintendo consoles, like it was like, yeah, I mean, we'll work on it. We're not going to spend a lot of time working on it, and it took them forever to be able to be cross-play
Yeah.
um with PC and Xbox, but they were still they
And
still were crossplay with them before Sony even thought about trying to be crossplay. It was like, come on,
they're
guys.
still Microsoft. I'm sorry, Nintendo is still, and I get that because like Nintendo is still like kind of hesitant about
Mm-hmm.
working with
They're very purist.
other
Yeah,
companies that are third party companies because like
exactly.
the thing is like you have to understand that one, Japan has really really strict child gaming laws, which is good. They
Yes.
should. But the second thing
Yes.
is that they are aware that the majority of the base of Nintendo consoles is kids under the age of 13 and 14. And so
Right.
there are laws that are put in place for things like that around the world. And some countries are more stricter than others, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example of how they're still struggling with working with other companies. I mean, Genshin Impact, one of the biggest mobile games that is on PC, it's on Xbox now, it's on PlayStation. They announced that Genshin Impact would be on the Switch 5 years ago, and it's still not on the Switch to this day. And it's because they
Damn.
keep running into live service multiplayer laws in Japan that they cannot get past. And at the
Right.
same time, Nintendo has its own approval process and it takes forever. And there's just a lot of
Right.
different things going on with it. So, like, that's a good example of a
Exactly.
game that got. Sorry, I don't think it was 5 years ago. I think it was like 4 or 3. But, like,
I mean,
because, like,
still, it was a
still,
long
it was a
time
long time
ago.
ago. Yeah.
And I think that really just kind of highlights the difference between Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo is that Nintendo was never meant for adults. It was meant for kids. That was its entire purpose.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I get it. I understand that that's ultimately what video games were supposed to be way back when, but once you find a type of media that is able to convey story and entertainment, it will be used for whoever the fuck wants to use it. Adult animations, adult fucking paintings, adult theme parks. Like, it exists because that's what people want. And you
Mhm.
can't pigeonhole these things into one area or one demographic because that's so fucking boring.
Mhm.
I don't know how else to say it, but you keep telling people that they can't do something because they're too old, and they're just going to push back and prove to you that they can, because fuck you, you can't tell
Don't
me what to
ever.
do, dad.
I know, yeah. Don't ever listen to people who say you're too old to do something. Like,
Exactly. No, fuck that.
unless you are
Absolutely fuck
actually
that.
acting immature. Um,
I mean, yeah, there is that for
but
sure.
like when it
But
comes to like
like
gaming, like, oh, real adults don't play games. Yes, they fucking do.
they
Okay,
do.
majority of them that are my age and your age, and even 40 and
Mhm.
50 actually do play video games. So get rid of
Yeah.
that mentality.
Exactly.
Um,
It's better cognitive functions. There's research saying that this helps brain development. There's research like hand-eye coordination is up and higher and better puzzle solving abilities. Fucking there are so many studies and research on video games as a whole being so beneficial to development and learning that it is insane that not more people are playing games.
mhm.
And that we're still having this fight of like, oh, video games cause violence, or video games are too sexualized, or there's so much other media out there that's better for you, or go out and touch some grass. And I'm just sitting here like, I live in an area, and I talked about this in the previous episode, but I live in an area where there is fuck all to do but touch grass, right? I can go out and touch grass till my heart's content. You know how boring that is. How like I need you to fucking understand. I want you to go out into the woods and touch grass for 30 fucking years and tell me that you actually want to go out and touch grass. Okay? Okay? Can we just say that? Can we just say that now? That like there is a point, there is a moment where you're not just touching grass anymore. All right? You're going to movies, you're going to restaurants, you're hanging out with friends, you're being a part of life and generational whatevers. There's stuff to do. You go to the club, you hit up a bar, you do whatever the fuck, I don't care. It's not just touching grass. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a moment. I think the moment is past. I'm ready to move on.
Oh, man. I've heard this rant so many times, everybody.
Well, we keep putting it out there because it keeps fucking happening. Like that.
Not on the channel. I'm talking about my entire time knowing you, but you know what would fix that? Moving.
I'm working on it.
I know.
I'm working.
Anyway, so back to video game consoles. I think moving on to today's console trend, it's just so. I'm just trying to genuinely wonder what Xbox's direction is now.
Oh, I have absolutely no idea.
Can we just discuss this for a second? Like,
sure.
Have you all seen what's been going on with Xbox? Like,
no.
They've been so they've been like, their primary focus right now is Xbox Game Pass. Like, it could not be more obvious right now, and it's so interesting to me because now Xbox games are no longer exclusive. They are now Xbox and PC exclusive. And now they're considering putting exclusives onto PlayStation. So one of the things that I know that they are definitely putting on PlayStation, I think it's already on PlayStation now actually, is Sea of Thieves, live service game.
Sure. Makes sense.
That one makes sense. But this is the one that makes me laugh. They're considering putting Halo on PlayStation. Which the entire purpose of Halo was to have that be an Xbox staple.
To be Xbox's, like, that was Xbox's flagship. That was the launch title for the quote unquote first Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was the exclusive for Microsoft. And I mean, like, I guess that makes sense.
What's just confusing to me is that
is confusing.
There are so many game companies, and I've noticed this recently, there are so many game companies that are making games for PlayStation and PC, but they're skipping Xbox. And I know that it's not Sony buying rights, because they don't have that.
No,
they have money, but they don't have that much money.
They don't have that kind of money.
I want to say that I think the reason why people aren't putting games on Xbox is because the Xbox Series S is just a potato. Have you seen the Series S compared to the Series X? Well, first off, it's your budget console, but games don't run well at 30 FPS on the Series S. And it's very clearly obvious that they need to either ditch that console or upgrade it.
Sure.
Because the problem I think that devs are running into is that they can't. It's a requirement that if you develop games for the Series X, you also have to develop it for the Series S because that's current gen. So unfortunately, they can't get it to work on the Series S, so they just don't. So I don't know like what the mentality is, because there are so many game companies that are skipping Xbox this generation, and I just don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, like
I
I get it.
wonder.
It's PC, like it's on PC.
Yeah,
PC is now
right,
Xbox anyway, but
right, exactly.
it's just a
I
weird
almost
thing.
wonder. If this is just kind of the beginning of the end, right? Like there's blood in the water, people can smell it, and like we're just watching two dying companies really try to grasp onto something that just isn't working anymore. It's not what it used to be.
Which is weird because Xbox at their last game preview or whatever they call it now, um, their last E3, they announced that they are working currently on a next gen console that is
Mhm.
going to potentially surpass the graphical capability of a 4090.
And hey, if they can fucking do that, then more
And if they,
power to them.
I
But
was gonna
I
say,
don't,
if
I
they
don't know,
can
man.
do it,
Yeah,
then I'll consider buying one. But
maybe.
maybe. But if not, then I won't. And,
Exactly.
like, the 4090 is the highest quality graphics card right now. It has been for over 2 years. And
Mhm.
the 50 series is coming out soon. But I've been reading the internal reports of benchmark testing, and they're really not that much powerful than the 4090 is. They're going to probably say some really huge numbers compared to the other ones, but the numbers
Mhm.
aren't going to matter. And
Exactly.
I'm waiting for NVIDIA's presentation on the 50 series. And
Sure, 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 sure.
the question then becomes, is it really worth upgrading for someone like me who has a 4090 in my computer? Do I get a 5090? Or do I just keep
I
what I
mean,
have?
I don't know. I have, what do I even have? I have a
2080,
20 something. Yeah, a
2080
2080
Ti,
Ti. Um which I mean has
which
been
works.
serving me very well.
Yeah.
It's not the latest fucking thing. I've been thinking about upgrading it anyway, which is another bonus to like PC whatever. But
Right. You can upgrade your
like
parts.
but like I don't know. It really does feel like the beginning of the end. They're going to probably come out with a couple more consoles before finally just realizing that they just need to make PCs. That ultimately the only thing that they
Well,
can do is making something that's modular. Maybe they start making modular consoles. But even then
technically,
at
I was going to say, technically, these consoles are like budget PCs, right? At this
yeah,
point with
I mean
graphics.
basically that's
Although,
basically it.
we should switch over to PlayStation's marketing strategy at the moment, which is just,
Sure.
it's something else too. I mean, these companies are just, they're doing things that I don't even know what the hell they're doing. I mean,
Who even knows?
why the hell did they release a PS5 Pro exactly? When
I
the current model can do pretty much what, but which is funny because the current model, they advertised the PS5 as an 8K console, and
mhm.
it cannot play 8K games.
Can't do it.
And
I
the
want to say
PS5 Pro
they
can, but even then
yeah.
it's not great.
No, I want to say that they only come out with pro versions anymore because that's just tradition, right? There was the PlayStation 2 and then the PlayStation Slim. There was the PlayStation 3 and then the PlayStation 3 Slim. There was the PlayStation 4 and then the PlayStation 4 Pro, which was basically the PlayStation 4 Slim. And now that 5 is out, they
But
obviously have to do the same fucking thing. Like they're just doing it because they've
yeah,
done it forever.
but I will argue that the Xbox did a similar strategy. The PlayStation 4 had a PlayStation 4 Pro, right? I think that that was a upgrade that made sense graphically.
Yes,
I think that the graphics improved,
absolutely.
and frame
The
rates
storage space
improved.
was great.
Storage
Yeah.
space was great. The Xbox One got an Xbox One X, and that was an improvement on graphics, and it was the same thing. Those were two meaningful upgrades. The Xbox Series X was already an extremely powerful console out of the gate. It didn't need an upgrade, and Xbox didn't bother, which I don't blame them for that, because
Absolutely not.
it's still to this day outperforming the PlayStation 5 Pro. But it's funny, the PlayStation 5 to the PlayStation 5 Pro is not really an upgrade.
No.
It's kind of a useless upgrade. Yeah, you can get a nice discount at GameStop right now, but like, what's the point?
It really isn't much of a point at this, like...
Yeah. And then it's just so...
I think, yeah.
I don't know. And then the other thing that bothers me is this whole exclusive thing needs to end.
Oh, absolutely. I've hated the exclusive thing since it started. Like, oh my goodness, I would love to play Halo, but I have a PlayStation 2. I can't play Halo on this. So I missed out. I missed out on that piece of gaming history. Like, I missed out on that.
Halo wasn't
anything
on GameCube.
Nintendo. Exactly. Anything Nintendo was just out the window. Like, I never got a Nintendo console ever again after the N64. Like, my parents got a Wii and some friends had the Wii U, but I myself never really had the time or the money to play any of those games. So any of those, like, if I didn't have it readily available, I played some stuff on the Wii because my parents had it, but all of that, just missed it entirely. The only reason I was able to keep up with Xbox and Sony themselves is because, yeah, I had a PlayStation 2, then an Xbox 360, then the PlayStation 4. And like, I still missed out on a ton of games between the both of them because they only had exclusive games for one or the other thing. Like, there's a lot of gaming history that I just missed out because they just don't play nice. There's no meaning for me to go out and spend another $500 on a console that maybe I play, maybe I don't. And for what? An exclusive? Maybe two?
Yeah.
There's no reason for me spending that kind of money.
Yeah, and then the modern day exclusive stuff is just kind of ridiculous. I mean, now, really, it's only Sony that's so shockingly still not playing game.
Exactly.
Because, like, now Xbox doesn't make exclusives anymore. They make it for PC and Xbox.
Right.
But PlayStation, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. PlayStation makes games for the PS5, and then 1 year later, they put it on PC. One year later, after everyone's already played it. Is that supposed to try and gatekeep PlayStation 5 sales? Because that's not really working.
Maybe it really does feel like they're just, hey, we're going to put out this game. It's going to be a PlayStation exclusive for a year. Like, you can play it on PC when we port it over, but only after a year. And I think that's really the thing that's shooting them in the foot, because now, instead of waiting for a game to come out on everything, you're just waiting for it to come out on your particular system, whatever that is. And sure, the PlayStation people can feel a little higher, mighty, whatever, to say, oh yeah, no, I played that fucking a year ago, and now you're just playing it, you fucking plebeian. And I'm just sitting here like, that's not how this fucking game works, guy. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to experience culture together through gaming, and you're just gatekeeping at this point. You're just trying to feel superior in some fashion, and it's just not working, and it's not cute, it's not fun, it's just not, and we can just stop, I think, at this point.
Yeah, like, the amount of people that missed The Last of Us.
Yeah,
because it was PlayStation only.
Because it was an exclusive. Like, how many people missed that piece of gaming history and culture?
Yeah,
that storyline.
Well, not many people. It's PlayStation's Skyrim, but
you're not wrong.
Particularly, another one is Uncharted. Uncharted was on.
Uncharted was another great piece.
Yeah.
Of gaming history. And I'm not even saying like the first 3 games, but Thief's End, the 4th game, was definitely a piece of that gaming history that I was incredibly fortunate to be a part of. And the only reason I was able to be a part of it was because of the PlayStation 4 that I got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I didn't have that, I would have missed out entirely. I would have missed out on all of that. And I just like I just want it to stop. I really do. I need Sony and Xbox. Well, I mean, Xbox at this point, I think, has stopped. I think they understand that between buying an Xbox and getting a really solid gaming PC, the obvious answer is getting a PC. That's just, I think
Mm-hmm.
they've accepted that. They're just now making budget PCs to play your games. That's ultimately what they're doing. And I don't fault them for that. I don't fault them for that idea. Um, I just think that Sony is going to take a little bit longer to realize that that's ultimately the thing, and I think they just don't want to let that go. They don't want to let go of the war, and
Right.
I think that's really the thing that's going to hurt them in the end is they can't accept the fact that they've already lost.
Well, they don't lose until they go bankrupt, but
You're right. You're right. And Sony is such a huge company with so many fingers in so many different pies that it's probably going to be a while. But like it's almost like playing Monopoly. You can watch them lose 15 turns in advance. And I'm just
yeah.
for me personally, I'm watching a company just kind of slowly realize that games aren't as lucrative as they once were.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
And
about who has the better game, it's about who has the better system. And
yeah, and
we
even
already know that that ain't it.
yeah, and I was gonna say even now, particularly now, especially because you want to get your games out to as many people as you possibly can, because now games are costing $70 at launch,
I know. Oh my
which
god.
is just disgusting. I mean,
It's disgusting.
I thought 50 was a lot, and then
Right.
70 is just absurd with inflation too, and gas and
Exactly.
grocery prices, and god, it's just it's just disgusting. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they're trying to justify that, and then they're saying that games are fucking failures because they don't have pre-orders at $70 is just absurd to me. You
It's
cannot determine
absolutely
a game's
absurd.
success
They're
based on a
exactly.
launch price.
They're not they're not looking at overall history sales. They're just looking at launch sales, and that's not how we do this anymore. That's not the game that we're playing. You have to be able to realize that at a certain point, like it's not the game, it's fucking how much it costs. It's not whether or not the game was bad or good or enlightening or subjective or whatever, philosophical, whatever. It's the fact that like you just don't have the fan base that you used to. It's not the same anymore. We're playing a completely different game and you're not paying attention to your audience. And that is going to hurt you. That's going to hurt you more than anything else. And that's where I think indie game devs really shine, because indie games have been absolutely wiping the floor with these AAA companies for years now.
Mhm.
For absolute years. They've been just ham over fisting these guys
Well, it's
more and more.
you realize that these indie devs are going to become the next AAA companies. That's going to be what's going to
Exactly.
happen.
Exactly. And I think that's ultimately it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we're seeing this too, like with like I read an unfortunate article where like one of the lead directors of BioWare, who made the Mass Effect trilogy, which is one of the most renowned trilogies in video games, tried to open up a studio. They opened up a studio about 4 or 5 years ago, and they were going to build a brand new epic sci-fi like story-driven adventure game. And they had to, unfortunately, last week shut the company down because they ran out of money. And it just gets really sad because it's like that could have been like such a great title if they had just managed their budget. But even then, it's like with inflation, like, and nobody could expect inflation 5 years ago.
Oh no,
like, you know what I mean?
No, of course not.
Ugh, God. Anyway, we're out of time for this episode.
Damn.
Yeah, I know these ones are going
Hot
fast
damn.
because we're very
They are
passionate
going
about
super.
these.
We're
Yeah.
very passionate about the thing.
I still have
Final.
I still have a PlayStation. I still have a
Sure.
Nintendo Switch. I still have a PC. Those are going to be
Yeah.
my consoles. I don't know if I'm going to buy a PS6.
My final thoughts.
Yeah.
I have a PlayStation 4. I have an Xbox 360. Hell, I still have somewhere around here a PlayStation 2 because those are like history for me, and I want to keep a piece of that. But ultimately, my PC, that's it. That's the next generation. And I'm not trying to be PC master race or anything like that. I'm just
We're
you
trying to
can't
say
look
Mhm.
yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
can't look at the numbers that have been going on and tell me that Sony and Xbox are still doing okay, because they're not.
Mhm.
It's not what it used to be.
Well,
It's not.
Xbox is still doing fine because they invested in a subscription service, which is
Yes,
completely winning, by the
fine,
way.
fair, but
But
they
what
only win because it's also available on PC.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm talking about is that they assessed their strategy and they said, okay, they realized probably, but I remember when Game Pass launched, when they launched Game Pass, I think that was when they realized, hey, this console strategy isn't going to work. And we need to
Right,
switch it now early before it
exactly.
goes to hell. And
Right.
PlayStation just hasn't caught up yet. They tried to with whatever PlayStation Premium Plus
Plus
subscription game
whatever something.
catalog,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever they
yeah,
did,
yeah.
but they're late to the game, and the games on there aren't great.
No, they aren't.
Because they're not striking deals like Xbox is with game companies.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but all I'll say is just this: that here's how I look at it. Either you're going to end up actually buying a PC yourself, or your game console is going to turn into a PC, because that's what's going to end up happening. I think that all game companies are going to move toward building stronger. If it's a console, it's going to be a budget PC. It's going to end up
Yeah.
being a console with pre-specs, but it's going to be PC specs. It's not going to be console specs anymore. And then I think if you want to get ahead on this, I would say probably try to build yourself a PC as soon as possible within your budget, because that's what's going to, in my opinion, as I look at this, that's what's going to be the future. Not because I think it's better than consoles. I just think it's because that's where the industry is going.
Exactly. It's surprisingly shocking how cheap it is to build a nice, good quality PC that will oftentimes outperform many of the modern day consoles. Like, that's the part that I think surprises me the most is, sure, there's a larger price tag at the end of the day, but it will last you longer and be ultimately better than many of the consoles that are just right now the latest generation on market.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's all right. It's
PC
all out
Master
there.
Race. No, I'm just kidding.
PC Master Race. You tell me one more time to go out and touch grass. I swear to fucking God.
Oh, man. All right, Max, you do the honors.
Yep. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, one and all, for coming on by to the Dialogue Dome for this rather heated discussion about fucking consoles and the console wars that have been going on. I hope you fucking enjoyed yourself. It was very heated. Well, I mean,
God.
between the both of us, not that
I have
heated,
to spend
but it was like
so much money repairing my room after throwing everything.
I know, right? I just
God.
Anyway. But no, thank you. Be sure to like, subscribe, do all of those things, hit the bell notification if you're on YouTube. For everybody out there on like the Spotify's and all of the whatnots, you know the deal. It's the subscribe, it's the likes, share it with all of your friends. Even if you just click the share icon and copy the link, that's still something that the algorithm really fucking likes. Pretend that it's the algorithm's dopamine, and you're just giving it a little hit. And it will spread our things like a virus. until everyone is. I love how I'm comparing us to a virus. Can we just cut that? Is that something we can do? We'll just edit
Oh,
that
that's
part
not
out. No,
getting
no,
cut out. No, that's definitely not getting cut out.
No, but I mean, like, subscribe, do the whole bit. You know what it is, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Yeah, I'm Max. That's been Brennan. This has been the Dialogue Dome. We'll see you guys later.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.